Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are on this planet. This is a WEBCON webinar in the WEBCON way. And this particular webinar is all about drafting and approving agreements, legal agreements, how workflows support legal departments and organizations. This is not ripped from the headlines, but ripped from real world examples. We've created a simplified version of a process that is used in multiple companies worldwide. I'm going to walk you through it, and I think we're going to have some fun together. Well, anyway, let's get moving. Warning. Some of you have, this is not a geek out session. Some of you particularly have seen me present things in the past in which we talk about a lot of technical detail. We're not going to geek out on this. This is all about how to achieve a critical piece of business value. I will peel back the curtain and show you a couple of details near the end, but we went to no tiny effort to invite people that are not geeks. I mean, look, geeks are welcome. I love everybody. But if you were thinking this was going to be all about us showing you technique after technique after technique, that if you ping us afterwards, we will, if there's critical mass, we'll host a dedicated webinar on that, or we can get in touch with you directly and show you that. Okay. This is all about showing a key piece of business value and strategic value and so on and so forth. So there might be a tiny bit of tech near the end, but this is all about a scenario walkthrough, and I think you're gonna like it. All right, let's have at it. What is a legal agreement? Because how about this? We are not just talking about a document. There are far too many approaches being taken by a lot of people out there that think that the agreement is the document. It's just the output, but it is so much more than that. First of all, it could be more than one document. In fact, it's quite common that when you're trying to draft an agreement and complete an agreement between two or more parties, that there's supporting documentation. There might be multiple parts, multiple different things. There might be a separate financial agreement, a separate intellectual property agreement. And if I'm only thinking about documents, I'm probably thinking about each document at a time, or maybe, if depending on the environment you're using, a document set or something like that. But the point is, I might have very different processes at very different points in time for multiple documents that I still need to treat together because they're all part of the same agreement. And some might be what we would call primary documents, or things that are the things that are going to get signed at the end and the things that carry legal weight. And other things are just reference materials, but the reference materials are actually quite important. So multiple documents and supporting content. What else could be involved? Well, okay. How about this? Boilerplates. That term is in common use in part of the Anglosphere, and it is completely meaningless elsewhere. But I thought I would make sure that that everyone saw it nevertheless. Boilerplates are basically templates, but not just a structural template. It's standard content. And in fact, a boilerplate is usually open this, make 2 or 3 changes, and then you're ready to go. In fact, in many cases, a boilerplate is a template that could just be printed out and signed, although you'll probably want to modify it to meet a specific set of individual requirements. But templates, ready to use content, that stuff matters. Signatures, gathering signatures, and this could take multiple forms in multiple ways. We could be talking about digital signatures, electronic signatures. We could be talking about signatures using a public key infrastructure or signatures using a cloud service. There are lots of permutations. We could even be talking about old school wet signatures. Sometimes that's legally required. So all that stuff matters. And we will get into that too. This is usually done and often subject to compliance rules. So there's going to need to be an audit trail of some sort and a way of making sure that we can show exactly what happened from the very beginning of the process to the very end of the process. And I just said the magic word, which is process. A legal agreement is a case. It's got content associated with it, but more importantly, that content is there to serve a process. We care about a lot of things we're dealing with legal agreements. Like, for example, we care about discovery. In other words, what kind of an agreement do we need to create in the first place? I could think about this in practical terms, like which template should I start with? Or what kind of an agreement is it? Who is involved? There's a lot of setup and preparation. If you want to call it preparation, great. In some industries, this is referred to as discovery. The drafting stage, the preparation of documents, where we're not ready to start working on them collaboratively, but we need to have something to begin with. So constructing the document in the first place, or the set of documents, and putting them together into a package, which is that case. The review process, there might be more than one. We might have reviews with lawyers, we might have reviews with multiple parties, we might have reviews with, not so, maybe in legal agreements, you may have copywriters or proofreaders making sure that the language makes sense, but usually in the legal process, they're pretty good at that themselves, so you get double duty there. Negotiation. Yeah, the terms in the agreement, even though they might be completely understood, might still need to be negotiated until everybody is happy. This is usually where the collaboration with the other parties comes in. There are multiple revisions that are inevitably going to take place. And then, finally, we need people to approve it. And once it is approved, I leave out affirmation and endorsement as separate from approval. And this is because it's a public records kind of thing. Approval we can have happen one at a time over a period of time, but affirmation means you agree not only that the terms of this document are good, but everything we did to achieve it are good. So typically waiting until the end to collect signatures as opposed to gathering them along the way carries a lot more legal weight, is subject to a lot less scrutiny, and far, far, far fewer challenges. And what's more, we've got multiple practical ways of doing that, whereas approval can be achieved using a lot of different workflow techniques. Disposition. I might want to do something with that document and that case and that audit trail and everything else that comprises that agreement case. Once it's all done, I might want to put them into official public records center or private record centers. I might want to trigger some activity in my ERP system. There could be so many different things that could happen with the agreement once it has been affirmed and put into place. And then there might also be the need to put it into a queue so that when the agreement expires, we bring everybody back and start a new process or a new phase in this process. So the point is, once you get the signatures, you're not done. And then evaluation. This could be evaluation of one agreement, monitoring the audit trail and making sure everything was followed. But it could also very, very, very easily be looking at the whole thing, especially if this is a legal department for an organization or a law firm or something to that effect. I probably want to see how long it's taking agreements to get done and whether or not some people tend to draft agreements that take multiple cycles before they finally get approved. Is this a problem with somebody's writing or negotiating skills or what? I don't know. Find out. All right. So let's deal with these one at a time. And now it's time for demos. So let's start with the discovery phase. And before I begin, I want to show you something. I can swipe here and pan over to this environment and show you one particular user. And we can work with this user's environment, and it should work just fine. What I will clue you in on is that it is very, very, very difficult to do a demonstration of a workflow process with just one user. So what I have here ready to show you is the main user that we're going to have acting as the star of the show, but we've got different users here that different desktops I will switch to for working with their manager, employees, subordinates, the CEO, and so on. Here is the other party, the counterparty, the people with whom we're drafting an agreement. In fact, somebody might be out there with a mobile device. So if you see me swiping around, say from here to here to here, I will call attention to which desktop I'm in so that we can tell the difference between them. So trust me, you won't get lost. I won't let that happen to you, but we will be moving from time to time between slides and multiple desktops. That's just to make the demo go smoother, all right? Not to worry. Now, we're beginning with discovery, right? And that means that before I even go to draft an agreement, and I can click this and choose which one to create. I've got several to choose from. I need to make sure that I've got something to work with in the first place. So long before we begin even one agreement, we created a library of available boilerplates or templates, as you would. And it's easy to take a look at some of these. How about, let's start with this one. This is an agreement for conducting an auction in a particular way. We have another agreement for handling non-disclosure agreements. We have a different one for handling, we have different ones for different scenarios, and we've even got them in multiple languages. That's the point I wanted to make. This is a library, and it can be built up in a couple of different ways. You can keep this in SharePoint, you can keep this in Google Docs, you can keep this in a lot of environments, but we also give you a place within our environment to work with it. In fact, let me back up for a second. We are inside of one application, but for those of you that have not seen WEBCON before, I would like to point this out. What you're looking at is the WEBCON BP Business Productivity or Business Process Suite portal. It's a website that presents all workflow applications together in one convenient place. You can see all the tasks waiting for you, all the applications you use, no matter where they come from. You can see what activity there's been in processes you care about. It's everything in one place. We're going to focus on one particular application. And this particular application is designed to deal with legal agreements. Now, I notice here that there are a number of reports and dashboards I can look at. I see an audit trail of things going on. I'm in fine shape. In fact, I even see who it is I've got to communicate with if I'm having a problem with this application. So this is all quite nice, actually. I, however, am going to focus on drafting a brand new agreement. And so we're going to move from discovery, because we figured out who the interested parties are, what their roles are, what's going on. And now we're going to move to creation. And we need to create a new agreement. So let's draft one. And I'm going to choose to make this a non-disclosure agreement. And non-disclosure agreements can go through multiple workflows. So the same non-disclosure agreement could go through like the standard agreement lifecycle or a special one or so on. You've got choices as to which workflow to run this through. We've just got the one because we wrote it in a nice way and it does the job well. Now, this is a brand new workflow, and I want you to see a couple of other things here. We've got a form here where we want to collect some data. We're not just going to let the document do all the work. In fact, you don't see a document here. You're not supposed to see a document yet. Remember, an agreement is more than just the document. So at the very least, I need to know who's going to be in charge of it on my end. It's going to be me. It's already filled in. We know who I am. And then we have to figure out who the client is that we're going to be working with. And we're assuming that this is an agreement with an existing client. It doesn't have to be. I have the ability to create a new client as well. But in this particular case, I'm going to pick one that already exists. And I need to contact a contact person within that client organization. And there are several people I can choose from. I'm going to choose Rhoda. And, but again, I have the ability to create new ones if I need to do so. There are plenty of extra pieces of information I can fill out. But I'm going to move on in a moment to specifying details. But I thought I'd show you a couple of things. Over here on the right, you can keep this closed by default because some people don't like clutter. But I like knowing where I am, and this tells me exactly what this form is for, who created it and when and why, and more importantly, it shows me which steps we're going to be going through, from the initiating step all the way down to getting everything signed. And there are pop-up agreements everywhere that explain what's going on. In fact, you know something, if I click on this, I can even see a picture of the process, and we'll highlight where we are. This is nice. You are also free to ignore all of that if you find that to be too much detail. We will adapt to you. All right, let's move on. I want to specify the details of this agreement. So there are a few, this might, in fact, this could be completed by a different person who just wants an agreement to be created and provides some information as to what's supposed to happen. And then someone that is much better at doing agreements might pick this up and start working with it. So one of the big things is, when does this agreement expire? It might not expire at all. Any additional information we care about? No. But here's the part that's really important. Remember, we're going to be working with an existing document or an existing boilerplate, a template. And so what we want is the extra language to insert into an NDA. NDAs are relatively standard, at least they usually are. They might not be in this case. But what is it we are getting together to talk about? What is it we don't want anyone to disclose? So what this is telling me is fill in the text here that should go in that blank. So opportunity of mutual interest regarding ... in connection with. Okay, fine. So regarding super secret project Conquistador. There, that could be fun. All right, so let's go ahead and create a draft document. And what I have now is everything I need to start working on this, including we might care metrics-wise about in making sure that excuse me, just a second. There. We might care very much about keeping track of who's doing what, how much time is being spent, especially in professional services settings this stuff matters a lot. And so how much time people spend with it, this is part of the case too. It's much more than just the document. So I want to say that well, we'll do this in a minute. What I want to do right now before we go any further is actually build the document. So let's grab the template we use for non-disclosure agreements and generate a document from it. There it is. And now I can start working with it. In fact, look, a couple of things you can do. One is you can just preview it right here. That's quite nice. But you can also grab a copy and put it on your desktop and then put it back, or you can just edit it directly here. So let me click on this, and this will open Word and work directly inside this environment. Give me just one moment here to log in. This is the first time I'm using Word on this particular desktop. Great. Okay, let's enable editing. Now, we've done a couple of things. We want to take this process very seriously, and remember, there might be physical records produced at some point if we involve wet signatures, for example. And so we've created barcodes. We've also grabbed all the boilerplate text involved, and notice that we've inserted this the details about Conquistador Coffee. The details about the agreement, we don't know exactly when this is going to take place, but I'll tell you what, let's make some such forecasts. What is today? Today is the 7th of October, so let's say this will go into effect on the 10th of October. In fact, let's be nice and global and official. So let's say the 10th of October 2020. That way we have no ambiguity as to what is the date, what is the month, and what is the year. And WEBCON is actually capitalized there. And okay, this is all good. I'm happy with this. So I will close this and save it. And those changes went back into the case file container. I should log the fact that I spent some activity on this. So I'm going to say I spent, let's say a quarter hour working on that. There's a picture of the document that's still there. And now I have to decide, do I want to save and come back and work on this later? I don't have to fill out the form now. This is not my one and only time to work on it. I can, heck, let's just do this. Let's save this and continue. And let's say now I go off and I do something else. I'll come back to this another time. And when I do that, here it is. All my work is still here and I can continue to work on it. I can even log more time and so on. But now what I'm going to do is I have two choices here. I can engage the legal team to take a look at this before I send it to the counterparty. The counterparty would be, for example, if I'm the vendor, they'd be the customer, or if I am the client and they're the contractor, things like that. But the generic term is more used in finance than in legal, but it's counterparty. So we could engage the legal team, or if I really feel good about myself, or I've made 0 changes to a vetted boilerplate, I could just say, send this directly to the counterparty. I did, however, make some changes. I want our lawyers to take a peek at it first. So off it goes. I can continue to watch this, but notice that 2 things have happened. Well, actually 3 things have happened. So I have, I've got this open and I see that here's my document, and this contains all of the changes that I made. But I also have this document here that got automatically created, and notice how it says red line. We'll check this out. We have automatically used Word's markup features to compare the way the document did look and the way it looks now. So it's deviation from the original template or deviation from the boilerplate. The lawyers are going to need to take a look at this. And so what we're going to do is I noticed that these guys, they happen to be the people on the legal team, are going to take a peek at it. And remember when I said we were going to involve multiple people in this process? Now is the time to do that. So I am Mike X. Everybody in our company is named Mike. So now I'm Mike Manager. See? And Mike Manager, there are a couple of ways he could interact with this. He could actually just be going about his business and noticing a new notification appear in his email inbox. Or he might have this open a lot because he works with a lot of workflow tasks all day long. And we can just take a look at all of his tasks across all of the work he gets involved in. Some of these things have nothing, or have their invoices or their official correspondence, or there are many processes here. I care about this one, which is the NDA agreement. And what I see are several things, not the least of which is this has been assigned to two people. Remember, the legal team involves two people, at least this part of the legal team. And one of us should work on this. And remember, we might not get it done in one try. So look, I can pick this up, or the other Mike can pick this up. I want to pick this up, and I want to claim this work and say, I'll do it. Mike employee, you can sit this one out. You can come back and grab it from me if you need to, but right now I'm going to claim this. So it only shows up in my work list, not yours. So now Mike employee is off the hook, and we're in the refinement step, just in case everyone is. We initialized the whole thing, we put in some extra details, we drafted the original document, and Mike X decided to engage the legal team. So now we're here. Okay. And by the way, in order to keep track with what else we're working on, we moved from creation to, we're now in review. And so I'm the attorney, and I want to take a look at what's been going on. So let's take a look at the red line. Now, if I like everything, I can probably just grab this document and say it's okay as is, but I might not be willing to do that. In fact, let's open this up, and I might see that there are a couple of details here that are not quite correct. All right, if it's not quite correct, I can't just say that the legal review is finished. I'm going to need to do a little bit more work on this. All right, let's open up the this document and make some changes to it. So, open up. Open Word. And there we go. Time to enable editing, and let's do a little bit more work on this. So I see all yeah, we don't want to call, oh no, right, this is a non-disclosure agreement, but this is not so much, recipient that appears throughout the document. I don't want to change this, but I do want to do two things. We're not going to call this super secret project. That's silly. The second thing is there any section here? No, there are. This is not relevant. Let's get rid of it. And I think that's probably going to be okay. I don't need to get too fancy about this, but let's say I am an attorney, and I did want to make absolutely certain that my changes were made. Okay, I'm happy with this now. I'm going to mark the legal review as finished, and this is going to move along. So now I'm looking at a completely different case. I'm going to go on about my life. It's time to go back here to this user. Now, this user can do a couple of things. We can either wait for a while and it will auto refresh and tell us what was done, or I can reload this and see that some extra work has been completed and there's new red line information to show me what has changed. Every time someone makes a modification, the details of the modification show up in the red line. It's quite handy. And this is the main document that we really work with. All right, now at this point, I can either submit it for approval, but that would be insane because we haven't involved the counterparty yet. In fact, if I want to get extra fancy about this and you want to be able to tell me how we've worked with the counterparty, that would be fine. The reason we keep this as a manual step is because often the way the counterparty works with us, it varies a lot. Sometimes they'll work with us interactively inside of a Teams conversation. In fact, we have created a Teams channel for this specific legal agreement for this exact reason. So we've got posts, we've got files, we've even got the open case here. Hang on just 1 second so I can log into it. This only needs to be done once, but this is the first time I've logged onto this desktop. So bear with me for just 1 moment while I log in. I will never need to do that again. So now I can engage in chats. I can engage in, I can throw in some extra information. We can all work together within Teams if we wish to do so. But I'm going to stick, I did that mainly to show you that it can be done. If you're working inside of Outlook, same deal applies. If you're working inside of SharePoint, same deal applies. If none of that matters to you, look, you're working with it within the case folder in a website. It's all good. We're going to be where you are. If you tend to work in one environment, our case will come to you. All right, let's continue. What I have here is a counterparty review. I need to do this. Now, I am going to, in good faith, handle communicating with the counterparty. I could send them an invitation to make them a guest in this Teams channel. Truth of the matter is, though, I know this particular counterparty and they're email people, and there's nothing we're ever going to be able to do that's going to change it. So as we move from review to negotiation, I'm going to do something completely mundane and email them all the details. Now, the nice thing about this is we'll automatically create the item that requires working on. So, and I have a compact version of the form over here on the right. This is an Outlook add-in. It works very nicely. So the attachments that we've been working on, they're right here too. So all I need to do is, whoops, drag and drop the attachment in here. And my trackpad skills definitely need some work. Let's try this again. There we go. That's user error, my friends. Okay, now I also want to send this to our official contact person over there. So where was that? That's Rhoda. And here's Rhoda's email address. Why don't I just copy it and drop it in over here? Get rid of the mail too, though. There. And let's send that along. Yep, I do want to keep a copy of this email and have it become a part of the workflow case. Check this out. We certainly have, it's a case, right? We have people involved, we have time being spent, we have details and instructions, we have a log as to things that are happening. I also have a copy of all the email correspondence involved. And yeah, I have I can get at all of this here. I can also get at all of this inside of Teams, and there's no reason similar work couldn't happen in other collaboration platforms if you use those. So I've got all kinds of great stuff going on here at my fingertips, and what I will do is now move to a different person. So remember how I said we had lots of different actors and players here? This one over here is the counterparty, and the counterparty is in blue. And you'll notice I don't have it yet. Let's do this. Nope, I don't have anything yet. Let me check my junk mail folder. Nope, that's not it either. We're just going to have to wait for the email to show up. And if it doesn't, well, boy, am I going to be embarrassed. Let me make sure I've got the right, that's the user error. I didn't have the right browser open. This is the right one. Powder blue is Rhoda. And sure enough, Rhoda has an email from Mike X, and that includes this document. Well, let's go ahead and open it. And you'll see that there are a couple of options here. The most useful of which is the option to edit and reply. So let's go ahead and open this up. And so now I have all the details I need in order to take a look at this. So notice of compelled disclosure, is there? No, I don't want this to be subject to the laws of the state of Delaware. I think we'd get much better terms in the state of Nevada. So we're going to use things in accordance to the laws of the state of Nevada. All right. Other than this, it's all pretty much okay. So I'm happy. I'll send it back. And back it goes. So now I just heard a little alert noise, which is a good thing. So let's go back to this primary user who just got informed that we did get a reply. Here's the reply. Now check this out. Because I'm opening up this document, let's grab it. Here's my case again. I've got the whole thing in one place. I have the marked up document here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this and I'm going to take their comments and drop it in right here as the new version or the new draft. And yes, that means overwriting it. Not to worry, we're versioning everything. And so I will put that in there, and it doesn't look like they said very much. It's okay. This is going to get saved to the case. So I have a copy of everything that took place, which is very, very useful. But now what I'm going to do is go back to this case. I'll reload it, and I can see what it is they have done. So two things have happened. One, you'll notice that there's a new version of the red line. And that new version of the red line is going to tell me what they have changed. And sure enough, yep, the changes that were just done have been incorporated. So I am happy with all of this. And now I'm going to mark it as the counterparty review is finished. We've gotten all their feedback. I'm a happy guy. Let's move along. It's safe now to submit this for approval. So we have passed the negotiation phase. If I didn't like it, by the way, I could have sent it back to the counterparty with suggestions and concerns, and then they could have sent it back to me. That process, even though we just did one iteration, could have gone back and forth as much as we needed. But now we're going to go on to revisions. Well, I've kind of done that. And now we're going to seek approval for this. So let's submit it for approval. So I will submit it. Yes, I am sure there are no unapproved changes in the document. So let's move it along. And now it's out of my hands. A couple of reasons I can tell that it's out of my hands is if you look at to whom it is assigned, it is this guy, Mike employee. Mike is the other guy in the legal review team. He's not the one who worked on this document before. We actually made sure that this was assigned to anyone on the legal team who is not the person that did the work previously. And in fact, we've gone to the trouble to let the original user know what just happened. So if we wanted to, we could very easily keep all parties involved with a string of emails. But one of the reasons we have this automated process is to cut down on the total amount of email. So I did it once right there just to show that it is indeed something we can do. We're making a conscious choice to do less email, just so that you understand. Now, I need to get to Mike employee's desktop. And nope, that's not it. That's his desktop. And I'm looking at all of his pending tasks. He could just wait for an alert. But no, look, this is good. So now we see that we're in the legal review stage. In fact, if we want to take a peek at it, yep, there, that's where it is. And so what I have here now is a red line document, and I've got the final document, and I should go through the motions and say, yep, that looks good to me. So here's what I want to do. I mean, I'm looking at the document and I need to provide a legal opinion on whether or not this is okay. Well, I do know that there is a small risk here. Nevada's laws are almost the same as Delaware's. They're slightly different on taxes, but this is probably okay. Just putting this out there. All right. And in terms of the total amount of time, whoops, that I'm spending on this, let's say I spent, a half hour of my time on it. All right, but I will approve it. Let's move it along. Okay, it's out of my hands. This is a different workflow process. So let's go back to the business owner's desktop and see what's happened. Okay, now it's in the hands of it's in a business review. So let's go over to this guy's desktop and check and see if he has any work waiting. Yep, here it is. So I see the legal risk that's already been put in. I see the time log. I see the documents involved. This is all well and good. Okay. Are there any business risks associated with this? Oh, again, let's go through the motions. Read the document. Okay, fine. Works for me. We're in the business review stage, and I'm going to say, guys are a little weird. All right, but again, I will, even though there are risks associated with this, I will approve it. All right. This is a different one. Just a different person has this item open. This is actually a fun thing to let you know. Unless we specifically set up a collaborative space where two people can work on, say, a document at the same time, we do make sure that, when you're working on a form and editing the form, not just reading it, you've got it checked out. So two people aren't editing the same thing at the same time and overriding each other's work. I have the option to ask Mike to let go of this so that I can work on it. But in truth, no, I don't need to edit this at all. That was just a quick little sidebar. Let's refresh this and see where we are at the moment. For some reason, this has triggered the need for a review by the CEO. All right, that's fine. But you know what I'm going to do? The CEO is a busy guy. The CEO is not going to stay at her or his desktop. CEO is mobile, baby. And so the CEO is going to come here to their mobile device, and we're going to look at their active tasks here. They would have been alerted to a new item. And sure enough, here's something where we need a CEO review. So let's go take a look. In fact, I even have instructions. The agreement was sent for your approval because of the risks identified. Oh, okay, fine. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go take a look at what we got here. An agreement with CCD. Yeah, I know those guys. In fact, I know Rhoda. Let's see. Okay, it's an NDA about Project Conquistador. And what are the concerns here? Let's take a quick peek at this document. Looks pretty standard to me. Okay, I see. No, that was a stray keystroke on my part. My apologies. Okay, Nevada's laws are almost the same as Delaware's. Okay, first of all, the CEO is going to say this is fine. This has nothing to do with taxes. And then what's the other thing we need to, these guys are a little weird. They're fine. You're weird. Okay, that's enough. Do I want to log any of my time? Yeah, sure, why not? Let's say that I needed to spend a small amount of time on this, maybe 0.5 hours on it. Okay, we're good. I'm approving this. And we're done. Come back here. I should see if I refresh this that we're now collecting signatures. In fact, let's open this up and take a peek. All right, I have the entire log of everything that happened. And that makes me happy. So let's take a look at a couple of things. We've moved from approval to affirmation. And this is actually really, really important. We want to endorse, affirm, say that this agreement is legit and we can go forward with it. So let's do this. I want a signature to take place. So this is a signing ceremony of sorts. And I'm going to open this up. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. Notice we've already turned this Word document into a PDF file. I don't want anyone touching this. It's sign it or don't sign it, but your opportunity to change it, that ship has sailed. I mean, if you don't sign it, I get it, but still. And this is, we can sign this either using mobile devices and just signing with our fingers. I don't think that will hold up in court nearly as well as either a wet signature or using an official facility like DocuSign. And forgive me, this is Windows interrupting my demo, asking me if I want to apply updates. Of course, it happened in the middle of a live demo and a live webinar. Anyway, I got it out of the way. Okay. The signing method I'm going to use is DocuSign. It'll be more fun to display this. If I do it with, well, I'll show you what happens with the wet signature while we're waiting for the DocuSign process to go through. Now, I need two parties to be involved here. So one party is going to be me. I'll be the signatory for our company. And then the other party that'll be involved will be indeed Rhoda. So And what's her email? There. All right, so let's go collect signatures. Two things are going to happen. I mean, we're engaging with DocuSign at the moment, and they will take care of the whole process. We actually have the ability to work with multiple kinds of digital signature environments. So first off, I've been asked to make a signature. So let's go ahead and do it. Here it is. And so I will bring up DocuSign in a browser. If you're in mobile land, they also have a rich client or an app for this. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is exactly the document we worked on. So now, pay no, this is all fine. All this is saying is that we're using a demonstration account or a developer account by DocuSign. It's not a production version. This is a demo. It's perfectly okay to do exactly that. So, okay, let's throw in my digital signature. Let's put it in the right place and let's finish. All done. That was nice and easy. And now we need to see what else has happened. Oh, right. Remember, Rhoda has to sign this. So let's go to Rhoda's desktop. And sure enough, she has also been asked to sign this. Let's go ahead and make sure she does it. So, yep, I agree to use this environment. Let's go find out where I sign. Oh, I can even see Mike X's signature. Well, fine. Let's get mine in. Right here. Yep, that looks good. By the way, we do this with DocuSign. We can do this with Adobe Sign. We can do this with at least 2 other public digital signature vendors. All right, let's throw this in here and we're good. Finish.
Sorry if I may interrupt you, because you were referring to the DocuSign and Adobe Sign, but there are also the qualified electronic signature that are required in the European Union countries for certain legal agreements. So whether you are going to support it as well?
We support 4 different public digital signature vendors. I don't remember the other 2. We also support public key infrastructure providers like Cosign, for example, which is actually owned by DocuSign. But we do support, and we have open sourced the techniques we use for digital signature plugins on GitHub, which means I know even though the EU has common standards in some cases, I know there are some countries in the EU that do very specific things, like Denmark, at least. I don't know if they've changed recently, but they used to have cards with numbers and such. So it could be all over the place. We are adaptable to use a lot of different digital signature schemes. I'm just choosing to use DocuSign in this particular example. In fact, let me show you how we would handle a wet signature, because we will have to wait a moment to see what's going on with the DocuSign process. So it goes a little bit like this. If you're going to do a wet signature, the process is going to have a form that will suddenly have an option in it. In fact, it will send a task to say, open the form and print out the agreement. And again, we need an official wet signature on a piece of paper, right? So this could be done by the actual person who's going to do the signing, or it could be done by her or his or their personal assistant, or any of a number of things. The process will indicate who it is we need to contact to print this out. But then a document will come out of it, and that document needs to be physically signed. Note that the thing we printed out has a barcode on it, both 2 kinds of barcodes, depending on what kind of system you prefer to use. But the point is, we'll sign this. And now you've got 2 choices. You could go right back to the form and scan it into your desktop and then attach the signed copy right within the user interface. But there's an even easier way if you have a networked scanner, because there's a barcode on this. And if you spend 5 minutes setting it up one time and one time only, anything you scan with a barcode will get picked up and automatically routed right back into the process. We'll be able to tell by the barcode which workflow process it belongs to, and it will just work. All right, let's check and see how things are going. Let me reload it and see if this is completed. Oh, it is. It is completed. It is signed. Okay, so let's jump back. And this is my main process, and I still have my draft copy that was finalized, and I have the signed copy with everyone's signatures on it. This makes me very, very happy. We have a proper bona fide legal agreement. All right, just 1 minute left, and 1 minute is all I need. Let's talk about evaluation, because I want to know whether or not we have to take a step back and look at how we do agreements. Do they take too long? Do the other parties complain about us? Have we suffered from forgetting things? Did I miss a step with these guys? Or so I care. I want to go deep on one thing, and I want to go big picture across the board. So the business owner of this particular process, I want to take a quick look at this. So here's my entire life cycle of this document from start to finish. This is kind of cool. If I want to look at this all from one convenient place, it's really easy to do that. And any new information shows up in green, modified information shows up in red. And I can look at the attachments and see where changes were made. I can look at the individual fields, but you know what I can do, which people tend to love, is just look at the way the form looked in step 1. And then it looked like that in step 2. And then in step 3, it looked like that. And then it moved on to that. And then it moved on to that, and so on and so forth. And if we keep going, at a certain point, a Teams channel got created so that we could collaborate on it. And then near the very, very end, let's keep going, we logged more and more time being spent on it, and then eventually we came up with a signed copy. And that's the story of this process. And that's if I'm looking at it by drilling down on individual details. And now, if I am the manager, I also have the option of looking at resource utilization and looking at how many agreements we have in different states, and who's involved in it, and which counterparties have been involved, and so on and so forth. I can take a look at which items, if any, are still in the middle of being signed. If we're waiting for anything, we're not. And I can, in fact, look at the status of all agreements, including things like total time spent. I can drill down on this and slice it and dice it in many, 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 many ways. I'm not going to obsess over it right here, right now. But suffice to say, if I wanted to look at this in many different ways, I completely have the ability to do that. So I will be an informed steward of this process, not a benign victim of it. All right. Why do it this way? Couple reasons. We do it this way as opposed to something completely dedicated, so that you can build it really quickly and build it in a way you want. And this is the really important part, so that you can adapt it quickly. I can make changes to this solution incredibly rapidly. It matters a lot because invariably you're going to want to make changes. WEBCON, more than any environment out there for building solutions. Look, we don't require any code. This is a very good thing. You should want that. But lots of people say no code. In our case, we're no code and no pain. In other words, you can build this quickly, but you don't have to build it perfectly the first time. You can build it good enough, try it out, collect feedback, and keep improving it. The cost of change, the cost of improvement is next to nothing. We are the most change-friendly platform on the planet. It was easy to build. It's easier still to improve. And you can make it adapt to you without a moment's pain. Now, how did we do it? This is the part where we peel back the curtain for just a moment. This is the overall process that we walked through. So there was that. There were also some forms that were involved, and they were laid out kind of like this. And we indicated which fields should be displayed at which step in the process and what should be required and what should be read-only. There were a whole set of data requirements that were maintained in SQL Server tables. There were business rules that determined how things were done. There were custom actions that were executed in terms of manipulating forms and talking to DocuSign. There were dashboards, there were libraries, there were reports. The key, don't obsess on the details. This is not a geek out session. The only thing that matters here is that in one studio, I was able to build the entire solution and all the moving parts. I didn't have to go wrangle data in one place and forms in another place and the workflow in another place. That might mean nothing to you, and that's fine. If it means something to you, this actually matters a lot. You can build everything in one place, change everything from one place, version everything from one place, audit everything from one place. This is one of many ways that we make the cost of change next to nothing. There is a better way to do DPA. It is the WEBCON way. So thank you very, very much for attending this webinar. We really appreciate it. If you'd like more information about WEBCON, please visit our website at www.webcon.com. And this is the inaugural webinar of a whole series of solution scenario webinars. We'll be doing at least one per month, if not more often than that. Trust me, you'll know when we're doing it. Thank you very much for attending. I will hang out for a few minutes. If you've got questions, you can either unmute your mic and ask them directly, or if you type them into the chat window, I would be very happy to read them and then answer them. So thanks again, everybody. If you have questions or want to see how I answer other people's questions, hang around. Otherwise, it's been an absolute pleasure. I see some people have typed some things in, but those look like hello world type things, or hello. Ah, someone says hi from Poland. That was very nice of you.
Hi, Todd Howard. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Fine. I'm just laughing at your "it just works" comment. It's very nice touch. What I want to ask you, Mike, is do you have a list of the digital signatures? Because I'm managing 17 countries here in Europe. And I was wondering if we could go into separate signing workflows depending on the country selection on our forms.
Oh, good heavens, yes. Well, much like we were able to manually choose which digital signature or which signature environment to use, whether it was a wet signature or DocuSign or just scribble something onto an image field on a form. Look, I'll tell you what, this matters a lot to you. So I'm going to I don't remember the 4 different digital signature systems, but I'm going to go to GitHub for a second.
You have maybe like a list on your web page that I can...
Yeah, we had a press release about this last month, but give me just a second here. All right. Hang on a minute. We may have to page through some more stuff here. Oh, I know how we can do this. WEBCON and DocuSign. There we go. And now we can work backwards by looking at there. Scribble, Adobe Sign, Otenti, and DocuSign.
All right. Thanks.
We're ready with these four. And if you want to get in touch with me, Mike Fitz at webcon.com after this webinar, and there's something in particular you care about, we are certainly willing to entertain that. Also, if you're in the consulting business or a WebCon partner and want to build one of these for yourself, I'm sure there are ways we can call a lot of attention to your handiwork and plug you in with customers that are looking for this kind of thing.
No, I'm a customer. Thanks, Mike.
Oh,
What was your email?
Well, then you probably don't want us to build, you probably don't want to build this for yourself. You can. This is pretty straightforward stuff. But yeah, if you make a decent enough case for it, you probably can. We are very open to looking at other environments. Mike Fitz, MIKEFITZ at webcon.com.
Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. All right, let's see if there are any other questions. I see nothing. One thing in the chat window. Is redline functionality built in or is it a custom action? The redline that we did here was a custom action, but much like we are, a lot of things we are now adding to GitHub. Some things you'll see rolled right into the product. Some things will show up on GitHub. But yes, the automatic redlining, we're using Word to construct the actual redlining, but the commanding of Word automation services to do that, or Word's API to do that, that's a custom action that our devs wrote. We aren't going to sit on that. You will see it very, very soon. It'll either be rolled into the product or it'll be on GitHub. That's a good question. Thanks for pointing that out. Probably should have mentioned that myself.
Yeah,
Anything else? All right, everyone. Thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I hope we'll see you at the next solution scenario webinar. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Great presentation.
Oh, thank you very much.